third in the EP voting.
What's up, YouTube?
Oh, hold on. You can greet YouTube, bro.
What's up? What's up, YouTube? It made it down, man.
Your connection is kind of bad, Andy.
Yeah, you're a little pixelated, my man.
And you keep cutting in and out.
So we got to do this in person, boys.
Luke.
What's up, YouTube?
I'm Deontay Burden, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Hamadou Diallo.
Hey, I'm Danilo Gallinari.
I'm Chris Paul, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Louis Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
What's Dort?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what it was.
In English, bro.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I'm Steven Adams.
I'm Andre Robertson, and I'm down to dunk. On you.
Good morning and welcome to episode 911 of Down to Dunk. You can find us on The Athletic and anywhere else you subscribe to your podcast. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get The Athletic for $1 a month. I am Luke, joined this morning by Andrew.
But I gotta say, I'm just fired up to be here today. It's pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. Wow.
Slam through.
Taylor.
Hello. Hey, how many apples grow on a tree? All of them. Father of mine, tell me where have you been? No, I just closed my eyes, my whole world disappeared. Father, slam through.
And Jay.
It's Jay.
Guys, happy 9/11.
Oh, boy. So big week in the NBA world. Thought we'd have to kind of make up some more stuff for this week, but apparently we don't. We have
the NBA content machine.
It just continues
rolling.
Daryl Morey stepped down yesterday, right as I was about to make a quesadilla. Daryl Morey
rolling. Sorry, we can move on from Jay's joke now. I just really liked it.
You did?
Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor.
But Daryl Morey stepped down. L-Man, you've got some extra stuff on this, L-Man?
Oh, I've been trying to do the online deep dive, and then
this is for just talk through this.
Oh, I didn't know I talked to this. I didn't know what this was. I'm getting funky.
He just got like taken back. Like,
oh my gosh,
oh
feel
Lord.
the beat. Trying to do my online deep dive, find things about the online that people are talking about, and then when breaking news hits, no one was talking about anything else but Daryl Morey out with the Houston Rockets and the implications.
It's a big deal.
Wait, L-Man, did you find anything on this?
No, it's just that this broke. This broke, and this is what everyone's talking about. It broke.
This is not an online deep dive. This is like the online shallow dive.
Couldn't go deep, man.
This is just because this broke. Here's the number one topic online right now.
This is the number one topic. It broke, and
this is your music. Oh my goodness. Okay,
there's nothing else.
Yeah,
to
don't
go
give
deep
him
on.
music.
When something like this breaks, you can't go deep. You can't go deep online. This is what everyone's talking about.
All right, so here's how I want to frame this session or this section for you, Luke. I just want to give you permission to just be wildly and like unethically speculative.
Oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that's an easy way to make that section work for you, man. It's just, hey, listen, I'm not saying anything, but probably what happened is, and then you just fill in the blank with just your wildest imagination.
Yes.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, then they haven't come out and said the reason he stepped down is because
I would rather you not riff on this.
No, riff.
They haven't said he didn't murder anyone.
There you go. Okay,
until they do.
Let me ask this question, Andrew. Like
That's
you've
a great
talked to a
point.
bunch of people about Daryl Morey stepping down. I feel like it's a good time to mention, like right now, you can go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get the Athletic for $1 a month. But one of the things that Andrew's been producing is these kind of breaking news podcasts, and he'll bring on beat writers from the specific areas. And so it was great to have a week. Not only the Daryl Morey one is obviously the one that dominates, but Ty Lue was hired with a 5-year contract for the LA Clippers. And so both of those are substantial stories that give us some content to deal with this week. But I think the Rockets one is also so near to us. So I think here I just have a bunch of questions. I'm how much of this is Daryl Morey? How much of this is Tillman? Like, what's your best guess on that? I'll start there.
I mean, it was Daryl's decision, but it was because of Tillman.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's not like Tillman was like, "Yeah, we want you out," and he's like, "Okay, I'll leave." It was Tillman they just kind of backed themselves into a corner. And I think that he saw the writing on the wall and did not want to go down with the ship because they have 0 young players. They've traded away draft picks for their future. And so they don't have that there. And obviously like the blueprint for that, like the Thunder put that out there already, is you trade the guys that you have and then acquire your future. You trade James Harden for a ton of draft picks and a young player and bring that in. And then there's your future. But apparently, I mean, Moore's not been a guy to tank. And a lot of it is that he's been in Houston, and it's easier to not tank in Houston because you're in this big market and you're making tons of money and you can bring in free agents. But I think it was 100% Moore's decision, but I mean, you can't say that Tillman wasn't a part of it.
Go ahead, Tayshaun.
Well, going back to Luke's deep dive, Morey, they have not said that Morey hasn't killed anybody, but actually it might be. This was just made apparent to me. Tillman is in the mafia. That's been reported on. It's fact. So I wonder if Morey became too uncomfortable with the killings. Luke?
Wow. And thus I say until I hear otherwise.
Yeah.
You have to assume that there's
murders involved.
There's more going on.
I feel like this is a good time to pause and put in our Down to Dunk disclaimer. This show is not a real media show.
I'm a reporter. I'm a journalist.
But instead is a parody of a media show.
I'm a
so
journalist.
Here's the
I'm
other thing. So I think because this year was so exhausting, or this basketball season, and long, and I know that Tillman, it's just so confusing to me because, I mean, Daryl Morey, we forget about this, made the blunder of the season, whether or not he was justified in saying what he said, right, in support of Hong Kong, the peace rallies and all of that for their independence and maintained independence and all of that. Like he cost the league and Tillman millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars. Now, it feels like some of those relationships are repaired. I heard a report that they actually started bringing back some of the NBA games here towards the end of the playoffs. But yeah, it's just, I just, and this is just wild speculation, but like in a kind of direction, like I could see this being a conversation where Tillman, I don't know. I just, nobody feels super confident about him as an owner, number one.
Yeah.
And so who knows what those conversations were happening, but I think you're right more than anything, Andrew. And it feels kind of, I think this is sketchy, and I think we're going to wait because Daryl is incapable of not going and sharing all of this in some sort of media form. But I do think that some of it, like, I wonder how history will evaluate Daryl Morey if he literally is going to leave that franchise scorched earth, which is wonderful for us. Like, we have their 2024 and 2026 first round picks. We also have 2 pick swaps in the next few years.
We also have a lot of hate for them,
and also a lot of hate. But it is one of those things, I think, that, and GMs can do this. And most of the time what happens is GMs are the ones that get fired as they move forward in this. And so it's hard to really harp on loyalty or what he should have done or the commitment that Morey made to that team. But he did put them in a corner in some sense by moving this roster in the direction they had. And that's, I think, the most intriguing thing about it to me is not necessarily the situation, because I can only imagine how weird it was. Daryl Morey's a giant character. Tillman Fertitta's in the mafia. Like, those two things are just such a giant piece of this. I don't really think he is. He owns Bubba Gump Shrimp and Company. But
Dude, Henry Abbott actually did reporting on this. I
Okay.
didn't make that up.
Good. So I think the dynamics of that will come out. Like we'll find out more and more about these conversations. But I think the largest thing is, what does this look like in the next few years? They have a pretty clear timeline that is short. You have probably you have 3 more years of Russ,
Yeah.
which there's, I don't think these are real, but some of these aggregates are, do the Knicks want to make a run at Russell Westbrook? I just don't think that contract's tradable anymore. Am I crazy about that?
I think any contract is tradable. It just depends on what your expectation is in getting something back. I mean,
So here, maybe a better question. Would you have to attach an asset to get Russell on the Knicks?
probably
Depends how desperate the Knicks are.
not the Knicks, because they have so many bad contracts that they could just trade back to you where they're not giving up anything, really. And you could just say, we would like to have Russell Westbrook on our team, and we give you like Taj Gibson and all those Taj Gibson-y $10 million contracts until you get to. And actually, they have a way of waiving enough players to where
They can almost absorb it without having to think about salary.
right, they could just absorb him, and they could trade the Rockets back a second rounder, and you could just take him.
I could see the Knicks, if they strike out, doing something like that, but
I don't know,
man.
I don't think they trade Russell. I think that they try to operate similar to what they've been over the last year. And I mean, you try to run it back. Like you have a team that's theoretically ready to go. You try to make some moves around the edges, and you try to move forward. Because with 3 years left, they're going to be too hard. Those guys are going to be too hard to trade. Not Harden. Harden you can get back a lot, but Westbrook is going to be too hard to trade.
Yeah, but I mean,
and get back.
Gosh,
the only reason you trade Russ is to get something back. I mean, you already traded away Chris Paul and 2 picks and 2 pick swaps, and those assets are gone. And then what you have back is Russell Westbrook. And if you traded that away and got like nothing back, you got like Kevin Knox back or something like that. Like, what are you doing? I mean, you have to keep Russell. He still has value to your team today. But I mean, the truth is that the Russell Westbrook trade is probably another giant piece as to why Morey is gone. Because that really wasn't his deal. That was what James Harden wanted to do. And it has really crippled what they can do in the future. I mean, they almost in their final year of their deals, if they're still on that team, they almost hit the salary floor by themselves. Russ and James Harden.
Yeah, they're almost 90 million between the two of them.
I mean, it's crippling to have 2 contracts like that. It's not crippling if you're a title contender.
And it's also not crippling if you have an owner who, like Steve Ballmer, because he's going to be in the same situation. But Steve Ballmer, like, he just prints money in his basement, Tillman Fertitta.
Wow, Jay, I think this is an important time to say that we don't do that. That's a crime as well.
But it's one of those things with, like, the assumption, and it's early in Fertitta's ownership of an NBA team, but everything is leading to this place where it feels like he's going to be one of those owners that's not going to want to get into the luxury cap or luxury tax. How do you create a team that's relevant, stays good, fills the arena? But it doesn't really matter how far we go. I just want to make sure that we're making money. And that's just a bad combination for them, a great combination for us.
Yeah. Kyle Panabaker from Periscope wants to know, do we still need to tank given the outlook of the Houston Rockets' future?
Yeah, we still need to tank, y'all. We're not just solely dependent on the Houston Rockets' future. There's a lot more going on over here.
Well, and I think the thing that's important looking at the Clippers and the Rockets picks and the Heat is the fact that the Thunders is the only one that you can really somewhat control where it lands. There's always going to be luck in the lottery, right? But the Thunder, if you tank, you know that if you're not very good, and rarely does fortune smile upon the Oklahoma City Thunder franchise, right?
That was beautiful.
Like, especially in the most recent things. But I think it's this season, because of how stacked the West is, because of the fact that the Thunder have these pieces, this last season was perfect for it. You played Chris Paul. You played Danilo. Both of them were healthy. Both of them are incredibly productive. Dennis Schroeder moved to another level. You have not because, Gallo's a free agent, obviously, but you have those guys at the highest value that they could possibly have. So everything is setting up to where you can move off of those guys while gaining assets, which before the season or when the trade happened, there was a question about that, right? And so you can move both of those guys, get more assets, and then in a season where the West, everybody but the Thunder are really competing, I just think the Thunder are going to be set up to like hit bottom real hard 1 year, get a really good pick in that 2021 draft, and then already start that kind of incremental growth forward with, Baisley, Dort. I know it's a question mark how much into this they're going to be, but Shea, and then probably a top 5 pick in the lottery next year. Like if fortune finally kind of changes for the Thunder, I just think this year is the perfect year to hit bottom. And so I don't know. I don't know why you would just run it back with the chance that even with this team fully intact the way they were, like there's no guarantee that number one, everybody's going to be healthy. And there's no guarantee that even if they are healthy, that they still make the playoffs. And that's just not where you want to be.
Yep.
So tank. Let's do it. Get it over with.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Also prepared that it could be longer than 1 year.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you get a top 5 pick, like my thought is not that they're going to be immediately back in the playoffs within 2 years, but
yeah,
if all of a sudden you show up and you do have, we just keep saying Kate Cunningham, that's really highly, that would be difficult. But if you have Shea, Cade,
we project
Bailey, Dort, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Carson Cunningham.
That's my thing.
We just don't. I don't know. We'll see. You have to hit. You have to hit, and there will likely be years where you don't hit. It's more likely that you're going to have years where you don't hit, even in the lottery, if you're in the lottery, than just have like year after year of hit. It's just something that we have to acknowledge, right?
I'm going to say this is Presti's fault for already setting the precedent of him hitting every single year for like 5 years in a row.
I know. It's just like, imagine if Cole Aldrich was like in between like the Russ and Harden picks,
Yeah.
Certainly didn't hit on that lottery pick. There's just, I don't know. I just don't want to put it out there that like you tank, you get your 2021 guy, and then you're set. Because that would, in an ideal world, yes.
I think it's a strategy though to keep Thunder fans at bay, Andrew. So what we do is we say it only takes 1 year. You just tank 1 year, guys. Can you just sacrifice 1 year? We'll get the guy, and then we don't get the guy. And it's like, guys, I think we're just going to need 1 more year, and you just
But what I was trying to say is, it's going to look very similar to the way that it did with Kevin Durant. They were horrible again and got a top 3 pick or top 5 pick, got Russell, were not good again, and then got the 3rd pick and got James Harden. Like, that's the thing, is this is going to be a probably 3 to 5 year process of adding players. But what I think happens is if you get a lottery pick to team with Shea and Baisley and Dort, the excitement level, because what you're looking at is like the interest of the team. This year's going to be hard. That's the truth. Like, I think there'll be a lot of people that are excited, like, hey, let's just see what this team's going to do. But then when they lose like 20 out of 25 games over the course of the first 30, like it's going to be one of those things where everybody's like, oh, okay, this is exhausting. And they're going to forget that. But then once you add that piece, and they're not going to be good. Like, how rarely does a rookie come in and lead a team into another echelon of good in the NBA? Very rarely. It has to be transcendent. Even Kevin Durant's first year was horrible. And so it's one of those things where it's like you're building those, but the excitement and the momentum is moving forward. And that's what's going to be the big thing for me, is they can be exciting and growing and have young talent and still be really bad.
I got you.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get that it's not you hit on one and then it's over, but it's like, it's going to look, or hopefully it feels very similar to what this does. And then along the way, you have these Houston picks that could be incredibly valuable comparatively. You have Clippers picks, which who knows what's going to happen with those. You still have some Heat picks. You have swaps. You have all these different things to try to maneuver to create peripheral pieces. And so I just think that there's such a high potential for this to be a growth thing over the next 3 to 5 years that you just want to get into it now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, sooner the better.
And you worry if Dort's too good to tank.
Is Dort too good to tank? That's the question.
I think we have to trade Dort and SGA if we're going to tank because they're just going to be too good.
Is SGA too good to tank?
Presti calls around. They're like, why are you trying to trade SGA? He goes, I'm trying to tank, man.
He's too good. He's too good.
By the way, I don't believe that he is.
No, me neither.
Ty Lue and Chauncey Billups were hired by the Clippers yesterday. I guess Ty Lue was promoted. Chauncey Billups was hired. Also, Larry Drew was hired as an assistant coach. So lots of experience there on the Clippers bench. I feel like there's not a whole lot to talk about with this one because Ty Lue was on the bench last year for them.
I think it's funny. You guys were talking about the Lakers on Dream Team. You were talking about the Lakers coaching staff and how it's like Lionel Hollins, Frank Vogel, Kidd. Like it's like a really legit coaching staff. Yeah. And this Clippers one feels like the little brother version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's like the less good version of that at every point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, It definitely does feel like that.
Actually, it just feels like the Clippers version of that. That's basically what the Clippers have been their entire existence.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see. It doesn't feel like Ty Lue changes a whole lot from Doc Rivers, but maybe he does. Who knows?
Did LeBron ever clap at Ty Lue's coaching scouting jobs when he was on the Cavs?
That's a good question.
I didn't hear that.
I've never heard reports.
Nope.
Of a round of applause for a scouting job for Ty. But he's had success in the past. It was also with LeBron. And that group of Clippers guys seems to be a tough group to lead. I'll say that.
They need to make a trade. They need to add somebody. Like it's just, I think you just have too many passive guys and then one extremely loud guy that nobody wants to listen to.
Yeah.
And Pat Bev. Like, I think you just need to trade.
Who are you trading for?
I don't know. I mean, I think you could. I mean, I have no idea. And it depends on what you want to put out there. But, I mean, it's funny. Like, I know this is stupid, and probably nobody would do that. If there was a way for you to get Russell Westbrook, Russ would actually fit pretty well on that team next to Kawhi and Paul George. But they're not going to do that. Maybe, but probably not. But you put together Lou Will, you put Zubac, and you probably have to sign Marcus Morris or Montrez to something and then send them out kind of as part of that, which I don't know the dynamics of that. They may not even be possible, but you just need somebody that can go out there and kind of at least lead something.
Jay, that sounds like a sabotage trade.
It really does.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Yeah, I think you're throwing out a sabotage trade.
Is Russ really the guy you want, though?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think Russ proved himself through part of the season that he can be, if you surround him with shooting, he can be really good. Like, I think you put him next to Kawhi and Paul George, like, I think you have a pretty high chance of him being a really good version of himself. He already has a relationship with Paul George. There's the LA connection. Like, I don't know. I'm throwing it out there as far as like who would be somebody that would come in and bring some of the things they lack.
The funny thing is that when you describe who they need, you're describing Chris Paul.
Yeah, and
that's really the type of leader they need when they have that leadership vacuum.
Which for the same contract, one less year, you could maybe put something together. But what asset do they have? The thing is with Houston still wants to be relevant, and adding Montrezl Harrell, adding a Lou Williams, like it makes that Houston team. In my mind, I think that Houston team actually probably is a little more holistically complete, you know? So,
for that Houston team, we talked about like, man, imagine being the head coach of this Houston roster. Well, now imagine being the GM of this Houston roster. Your stars are old as nuts. Everyone else, PJ Tucker, you have to re-sign. He's 35. Like, imagine trying to be the GM and do a good job with this team.
Is PJ Tucker off this year? Is his contract over?
Yeah, I think he's due for. Let me see.
An extension.
He's got 1 year left.
I was about to say because I can absolutely see them not like giving him a pretty low offer and him not taking it.
He's 35.
This is his last contract.
Yeah. He's 35 though. Like,
It's going to be a veteran's contract. It's going to be like he doesn't do much now. I mean, he's like
I just think he knows.
guy.
I think he knows his value for that team. Now, can he get something somewhere else? That's obviously the $1 million question.
Mhm.
But I think one of these teams would throw like a 2-year something $40 million contract at him or something. Maybe somebody that wanted to compete and knows what he brings to a team. Like, I think that there's a team out there that would do that.
Yeah, it feels like a Kings thing to do.
Right.
Did you say 2-year, $40 million?
I don't know. Maybe.
Jay is trying to sabotage the whole league today.
Or the Suns bring him back. Feels like a Suns Trevor Ariza move. You know.
It's true. Now, part of that, we also don't know what the salary cap's going to look like. But from what I think Brian Windhorst is the one that said that they're probably going to freeze it to the level it was maybe last year.
Yeah. Which it's potentially pretty scary for players. It is. Because when they don't get to the number that they think it's going to be or that they freeze it to, that money comes out of the pockets of the players. And so whatever it is, like it could be 30% of their check just has to go right back into the league because they're going to miss that number. Like they're going to absolutely miss it. And so I just wonder like how much the players have considered that fact. Because yes, you freeze it, sounds great, everything operates just like it should, cool, we're moving forward. You get to the end of the year and they're like, wait, I was supposed to make $10 million. And after taxes and taking out 30% of my check and paying my agent, I made $2 million.
Yeah, and so maybe expand on that a little bit, Andrew. Partly is that because the revenue sharing between the players and the way the CBA is currently set up is 50-50. Players get 50%, owners get 50%. And if that 100% is 70% of what it was, does that mean that both sides get less, or that means that the owners still get their 50 and then the rest gets divvied out to the players?
Yeah, both sides get less.
It's just way different for a billionaire to get less than.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's like profit for them, but for the players, it's their salary.
Yeah. It's a good word.
It's a definite possibility that these players that think they're getting, like Lou Dort is going to make, the money that he'll make because of they're not going to get to that number. And taxes taken out and everything, like his number is much smaller than what anybody would imagine.
So Adam Silver's pretty clearly trying to make it like his goal, 82 games, full playoffs.
Yeah.
In stadium, in home cities, no bubble. Like that's the goal for everybody, right?
That's the goal. Yeah.
So your assumption on them not making the salary cap is the fact of basically they're not going to be able to do full stadiums for at minimum 40 of the games.
I would be surprised. Would you?
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just trying to maybe parse that out a little bit more for myself, but I think you're right. Like my best guess, and this is just a guess, is March, maybe April is when we get through this to somewhere else where there's maybe either a vaccine or treatments or testing to a level that gets us more confident to be together with 20,000 people in a giant arena.
Right. Yeah. There's so much uncertainty around it.
Now, I will say this, and I wouldn't put it past them, the NBA, to just be incredibly, I don't know. They've just always historically been really good at figuring out different ways of getting the revenue. Mm-hmm. So, if the China relationship is at least somewhat repaired, is there something they can do there to increase revenue? Is there a way to, I don't know. That's the hope I have. Is Adam Silver is a great commissioner and NBA is always cutting edge. It's kind of the same thing we talked about. Like the fact that they pulled off the bubble the way they did. Look at the NFL, look at Major League Baseball. Like they all had problems, but the NBA It was grueling. I can't imagine how grueling it was, but they pulled it off. So I could see them figuring out new ways to get extra revenue. But you're right. I think you're right. Probably half the NBA season is going to be probably 20 to 30% in arenas. And that's in states that have far more relaxed policies in regards to the virus,
Right.
It's intriguing. It's going to be it's going to be a really crazy season.
I think for the most part, like it won't change. It's not going to change a whole lot. It is good for the product that they freeze the cap where it's at. Like that's good for the product. It's good for just operating wise. But I don't know. Just something to keep an eye on is like, when do the players realize like there's like tremendous. I'm not upset for somebody that's making $2 million when they should have made 10.
Yeah, but comparatively, right? If you look at if owners are not taking the hit, but players are, like that's in some sense an unjust system, right?
Well, they're taking the hit. Everybody's taking the hit.
Sure.
But anyways, we can move on to Factoid Dickory.
John's Factoid Dickory. John's Factoid Dickory.
I'm still not used to that.
It's great. Well, guys, Morey quit. So my question is, what is the last thing you quit? And then some follow-up questions. Did you regret it? Why did you quit? And this could be a job. This could be like a workout plan. This could be a diet. This could be whatever. So let's go ahead and start with Slam Through.
The last thing that I quit. Last thing I quit was I quit working for an online charter school. And, have not regretted it since that day.
So the online charter school?
Yeah.
Oh man, you escaped a harrowing fate.
Yeah, no, that's the story now is very interesting. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So when you quit though, I can't remember why you said you quit.
I was just wanting to do something different.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like this weird sketchy thing happened.
Part of it was I was a special ed teacher and I was one of 40 teachers that was doing that, and I was the only guy. And the other were like 40 to 60-year-old women, and I was like, this is just not my space. It's just not my space.
I would say that was your space because of that.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's mine.
Strong voice. Jay?
Yeah, probably the last thing I quit. I've started and quit many, many diets.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, that's kind of life. But probably the last thing I quit was my old job for this job, which was 2012. So it was a long time ago. And it was the right decision in every single way.
Wow. Major shade thrown at Church of the Servant. All right, Luke.
No, it's not, but I just verbalize it. Thank you, man.
The last thing I quit, I was playing an online game that you have to pay a subscription to play, like an MMO, Final Fantasy 14.
Like World War.
World of Warcraft, kind of, yes. But it was Final Fantasy 14, and I quit playing that, and I quit subscribing to it because I wasn't playing enough. And so it do I miss it? Yeah, sometimes I miss it. But it's like $9 or $12 a month. That could be spent on that's 3 beers at a bar,
2 Arby's.
Maybe 2 trips to Arby's. Actually, that's more like
Hulu. Should I have said Hulu?
No, I also quit. I also pulled the plug on my cable. Quit cable, and it's been great.
Just now?
No, it's been a few months. It was probably like right at the beginning of the pandemic, like February. I got rid of cable, like right when I needed it.
Dude,
I got rid of cable too, so that was one of them.
So it's been good. Taylor, do you have cable?
No, but I have. You can go buy one of those digital antennas, and
none
that's
of us
nice.
have cable.
Yeah, here's the complication: is I got YouTube TV, and it was
Oh.
awesome, and it's been awesome. It's a little more expensive than it initially was, but they also lost the rights to the local Fox Sports stations.
Yeah,
So
YouTube TV people
I'm
have
gonna
been
have to get out of that.
pretty disappointed in how that's been going. The last thing I quit, this isn't the last thing I quit, but this is the one that really hurt my heart the most. I was 15 and a half years old. Actually, I was 16. It was right before I started working at the mall. I was 16, and a family friend of mine owned a house out in like a ranch out in Piedmont. And he was like, come on out. You can work for me doing landscaping stuff, mow, weed eat, whatever. And I'll give you $20 an hour through the summer. And I was like, awesome. So I go out there for 2 weeks, just blistering heat. I'm outside. I'm little. Like Jay, you remember 16-year-old Taylor. I was a little boy. And I was out there. I was weed eating. It's just nasty. Gets to the end of 2 weeks, he pays me. It's like a fraction of what it should be. And so I asked him, and he said, you know what? When you work like a man, you'll get paid like a man. And I went home and told my dad, and my dad was so mad. And he called him, and they are not friends anymore. And then I quit.
That's awesome.
They were like
What in the
friends.
world?
They were like friends.
Everyone in that story is every adult in that story is awesome. the man exploiting you to pay you nothing. It's like, well, I'll pay you like a man when you work like a man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Your dad's response, awesome.
He was so mad. It was like the first time I think my dad actually like stuck up for me publicly.
I love that.
Wow.
First and last. Not last. He's a good dad.
Well, that was Tayshawn's Factoid Fickery Dictory.
John's Factoid Fickery
God,
That's a tight drop, man.
God, the end of that, it's so unnatural and robotic.
All right, let's rock through some Twitter questions.
Let's take a quick break before we get to those Twitter questions.
Ooh.
And now on to some Twitter questions.
And we're back!
First Twitter questions from @Zach Deeg or Dieg Zachary. Should the Rockets listen to offers for Harden? If so, what could you see them getting in return?
So I've got a few little trade things here for you guys. Tell me what you think. Who says no? Let's play Who Says No. First one, James Harden to the Sixers for Joel Embiid and Josh Richardson. No.
Probably Rockets.
It would. I mean, you'd have to throw some picks in there for them to start recouping.
Well, you compete right away with that, right? Russ, Josh Richardson, Joel Embiid.
Ooh, Russ and Embiid together.
Oh, it'd be great.
I kind of actually think that trade makes sense a little bit.
Okay. What about this one? James Harden to the Raptors for Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, and a 2024 first-round protected pick.
The Rockets do not do that.
Yeah, dude. So here's the thing about a trade for a guy like James Harden is you're not going to get what you think is equivalent.
Yeah, I don't think any of these they do. I think they just say,
Luke, just hold on before you call my trades garbage. Just hold on.
Not calling them
freaking garbage, dude.
Not calling them garbage.
I think the Rockets say no to this one.
Okay. I thought that was pretty good. Siakam?
It depends how much you like Siakam.
Dude, Siakam looked good at the start of the season and then was like, is Siakam good?
The playoffs were not the best way for him to finish the season.
Love him. I love him so much. Next one.
Oh, God.
Oh, good Lord.
Spurs for Rudy Gay, Trey Lyles, DeJounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, Keldon Johnson. This one is garbage. Next one.
That's awful.
Okay, what about
Next
this
one?
James Harden to the Kings for De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes.
No,
Now that's interesting.
I would need like 3 picks from the Kings for this.
How about one? De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, the De'Aaron Fox is what makes it interesting. Like, you're not going to get the equivalent of James Harden, but you can at least get a young guy that his ceiling might be closer to a star.
Yeah, that's a young blue chipper.
That's
Yeah,
a
but
young.
if you have this
that's
trade
young
or the
PC, baby.
Sixers trade, you take the Sixers trade immediately.
I don't think so. Would you rather have
A new
De'Aaron
GM. Imagine you're a new GM, Jay. See,
This is a build for the future kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're also trying to figure out how to get rid of everybody else on your roster.
Step number one for the rebuild. And let's say the Kings give you 2 picks.
yeah, that's great. Do it.
Yeah.
If I'm a new GM and Morey's gone, and I'm trying to like
Be
extend
cheap,
my
number one.
career, be cheap, extend my career under Tillman as long as possible, you do that with a young guy that could be a star.
Yeah. And then listen to this. The Kings are back, baby. They got Buddy. They've got the Bone Dong on the wing, hitting threes all over the place off of James Harden. You've got Marvin Bagley setting screens, getting offensive rebounds, throwing down the hammer.
It's actually pretty similar to a Rockets roster if Harden was there.
Yeah.
And Bagley was the center.
Yeah.
That would be a really good Kings team, actually.
Yeah, it would be.
And if you're the Rockets, you get to rebuild with the De'Aaron Fox.
I like that one. This one, I don't mind.
This is my favorite one by far. So those
Was
are
that it?
That's all I got.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I'll take it.
Thank you for your hard work.
Yeah, good job, man.
I'm back.
Dale, man.
Sorry, Dale man. I set my alarm and it went off and it kicked me out of the show.
Oh, I thought you were getting out of bed and you were maybe in the nudity.
So this next question from @Kobe Zeller: could the Warriors trade Wiggins and their second overall pick for Chris Paul? They could, but they won't.
They could. But think about McKelly and I were actually talking about this very thing this week via text. That would make the Warriors really awesome, by the way. Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and then whoever you want to play as a big or another wing. Like, at that point, who cares?
If this draft was better, why wouldn't the Warriors make a move for Harden?
Oh my God.
To me, that's a sabotage trade.
For who? Burn it all down.
This is a saboteur today.
Let's do it, man.
You are a saboteur. James Harden to the Warriors?
They already tried to get him, or no? We tried to give him to there
before they were good.
It's like 10 years ago.
Ball out of Steph Curry's hands and put it into James Harden's hands.
They did with Kevin Durant, man.
And then the Warriors should
sign 2 championships.
James Harden is different than KD, though.
Yeah, he's the most ball dominant player in the last decade.
Hey, Steph, that corner.
Yeah.
Hey, that corner. Hey, Draymond, set a screen for me. I'm going to the basket.
You know, in some ways,
wanted to be the 6th man again for them.
Oh my God,
that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you're the Warriors, you just say thanks, but no thanks on that.
But for me, I'm just thinking like with the Warriors having a giant contract and a second round pick or a number 2 pick. Like I said, if this draft was better, where's the star that's stuck somewhere that he doesn't want to be in that team? Like a Blake Griffin.
Well, Bradley Beal.
He's not Bradley Beal.
Like
God, I would be so steaming angry.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one, right?
Dude. If Bradley Beal was on the Warriors,
yeah,
it's a problem.
Yeah, see, like something like that, where Bradley Beal dominated the ball, but that's because the second best player last year was Thomas Bryant for them. I mean,
honestly, Ish Smith was like really good for them too.
Smith was good. I mean,
but here's what I would say. Like, so for me, I'm like, why wouldn't the Wolves, if that trade's there, like the Wolves had to work a little harder to get the salaries.
To be clear, it's not there
for Beal.
Yeah, Beal's. They're not. They're not moving Beal.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the Wolves would give the number. Wouldn't the Wolves give the number 1 pick and all of the other contracts they could to get Beal?
Yeah, like none of these guys are.
Anthony Edwards will not sniff Bradley Beal.
Yeah. That sounds gross, but
if you were the Wolves, would you trade Cat for Beal?
That just feels like a lateral move. It just feels like
Does it?
just as good.
That's what I'm saying. Is this draft? I'll tell you what's probably the more valuable pick for the Warriors is actually that Wolves pick for next year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Next question from
If you're the Thunder,
Go
would
ahead,
you do that? If you're the Thunder, would you do that for Chris Paul? Wiggins in number 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's hard. The Wiggins is what 3 more years at $40 million or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of money for a guy that's very mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what? I mean, this is what we want.
True.
Is Wiggins too good to tank? No.
Nope.
Wiggins too good to tank. Okay. All right.
Can the Thunder resurrect Andrew Wiggins while also adding James Wiseman?
We would talk ourselves into Andrew Wiggins pretty fast.
No.
The potential of Andrew Wiggins, yeah, absolutely.
No. We would battle. I would battle so hard against it. I would start a Twitter account that's just based on that alone.
Really? You don't think you would end up talking yourself into Andrew Wiggins? There might be something there.
No.
I think it would. I think you would.
No, because that's. I mean, you make that trade to get bad. That's the goal.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. That's why I would do it now. Once Andrew Wiggins was on my team, though, I'd be like, there might be something there.
Miguel Davila says that Wiggins guarantees 41 home wins because he always plays so good in OKC.
Oh, that's true.
Oh man, yeah.
So he's got no. I mean, his contract is not that bad, actually. I mean, it is not good. So let me clarify that. But it's 3 seasons, 30 million this year, 31, and then 33 at the end of the contract at 2023.
I would like to ask you a question. What's not bad about that?
Well, in the sense of like,
well, Jay wants to give PJ Tucker 20 mil.
It's not the super max, number one, but number two is it's like only 3 years. So
yeah,
I guess it goes the exact same length that Russ's would have. Is that correct? Ends in 2023.
Yeah, it's pretty bad for a player that's not that. That's
yeah, but it's number one. It's like you have 2 years where you really have to pay it, and then that third year maybe it's a contract you can move to absolve. Like this is how. I mean, truthfully, this is how teams like the Thunder could potentially even get more assets. Is having the space to absorb really bad contracts and getting assets as a response to that. Like was it Kurt Thomas deal that got Jeff Green or something like that, which ended up getting us, I don't know, something, Kendrick Perkins.
Huh? What'd you say?
How did they get the pick that they picked Jeff Green with, the number 5 pick?
Trade Ray Allen.
Somebody absorbed a contract. Anyway, I can't remember enough of it to be honest.
You're thinking of Matt Harpering, Jay. Okay, I have a question. Would you rather have Andrew Wiggins or Harrison Barnes on your team if you had to have one?
Who cares? They're the same guy.
I know. That's kind of why I'm asking. Because I was thinking like Andrew Wiggins and Harrison Barnes had the same thing was thought about them coming out of the draft. Like, this might be your guy. And they are almost identical.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You got to pick one, though. I'm picking Barnes. Bonzi.
Yeah, give me Barnes. I think he's a little bit more benign.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Tayshawn's Factoid Figgery Dickory.
All right, next question.
This one is from @JLo2836. If you had the number 1 draft pick, who are you taking for Oklahoma City? Also, did our picks and pick swaps turn into gold after the news about Morey stepping down? We already talked about that a little bit, but Andrew, who would you take at the number 1 pick?
Oh man, I wanted to know who you want to take, Jay. You tell me first. You go first.
So for this team, you're just taking best available. I don't like Anthony Edwards. I think James Wiseman has such a potential high ceiling. I like him. I really like Onyeka Okung. It's bad. Onyeka, whatever his name is. The center from USC. I've heard you say it 8 billion times. So it'd be a stretch to get him at 1. But man, if you like him and you think he brings what you're looking for, in watching him play, and that's the hard part is I don't know what Wiseman brings because he played like 2 games for Memphis before he got suspended. But that kid is so good. And I think that LaMelo Ball is another one that people, I think I could see the Thunder taking, but it'd be hard for me not to take one of those bigs.
Yeah. I'd probably take LaMelo number 1, just because he does have like a really high ceiling as a guy that can create. And he's 6'6", and so you have this backcourt of like two guys that are 6'6", 6'7". I mean, some people think that LaMelo's closer to 6'7". So you just have this giant backcourt, and you listen to some people talk about LaMelo, and they think he's a terrible defender because he was. But then others say that, you know, Lonzo was a bad defender in college, and once you get him into a structure, like these guys are so smart that they can defend once you put them in these like NBA defenses and give them like specific instructions. So I would take LaMelo. I would, and he's a swing for the fences. This is, I mean, if this, the Thunder are not going to get the number 1 pick, but if they somehow did, you swing so that you don't have to tank for 3 years, right? Because if you connect on LaMelo, like you're still going to be bad next year. But if you add, this is where if you add like another, like you could, I mean, Cade's a point guard, but if you add somebody else to that, like you had a forward that's all-star caliber, then you're ready to go. Like then you really are, you know. LaMelo has a chance to be that kind of guy. Will he be that guy? Odds are no, he probably won't be, but he's your best chance at getting a game-changing guy. I really like Okongwu. Really like him. He's like another guy I would consider. I certainly would consider James Wiseman here as well, just because he has a really high ceiling and he's 7'1" and he can really move, and he's got the talent to stretch the floor and protect the rim. So I think there's a lot of intrigue around him as well. But I would probably take LaMelo at the end of the day.
Yeah. Hey, so by the way, I did look up the Kurt Thomas trade that I was thinking of. The Thunder in Seattle in 2007 traded for Kurt Thomas and got 2 first-round picks with him. One that turned into, I don't know, maybe Craig Brackens or something. And then the second one turned into Serge Ibaka. So that's what I was thinking of. 2 first-round picks to absorb Kurt Thomas's contract. So that's what I was thinking of. All right, here we go. Next question from Zach Deeg. Again, what Thunder player didn't live up to expectations but had your most hype? PJ3, the LeBron stopper, was his.
The LeBron stopper.
Mitch McGary was probably mine.
Yeah.
Mine was probably Cole Aldrich. Like I honestly thought Cole was going to be like the center of the future for the Thunder.
He was really good in college, but he was, I mean, yeah, we should have probably known that in hindsight.
Yeah, I thought that
the guy.
I thought Cole Aldrich was going to be really good too. And I also thought that Jeremy Lamb was going to be the most important trade piece we got back in the James Harden trade.
That was more of a hope, man. That was you're so right about that, Taylor. Like, that's a good one.
Dude, because out of UConn, you were like, this dude could be a starting shooting guard. He's long. He could be really good defensively. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Luke. He's in the bathroom, I think.
I'm very uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, that's, I think, the Lamb one. That's a big one, too.
Yeah. Perry Jones is another one for me as well.
Yeah.
But with Perry, at least for me, I at least had the, if this guy, like you always had that caveat with Perry Jones, right? Like, well, if this guy figures out how to do 1, 2, 3, then, you know, but it's like, you just knew that he doesn't have a motor that really, you know, it's like, there's all sorts of things that you kind of already knew was going to be the reality for him. So that was my thing with Perry Jones. Is like I was in, you know, at least at that point still paying attention to Big 12 basketball. And so I saw him in Baylor massively underachieve all the time, you know, so it wasn't something that I was shocked by. I think for Mitch would have been, he's just, if he wasn't such a just screw up, he would have been, he's a perfect big guy for this era of basketball.
Mitch had the skill set of like,
he loves snakes.
Like Lamar being his ceiling.
Yeah, man. He was big. He could rebound. He could score.
He could run. He could dribble.
Shoot, you know, like he just didn't. He couldn't play defense, obviously, which is a problem. But is that something that he could have maybe have developed? I don't know. But I think it's one of those things with Mitch McGary that he was the guy that I think was the most, for me, had the most hype. But
mine is actually Steven Adams.
Next question. All right.
Hey guys, I gotta go to work.
Good luck.
I'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
Bye.
Let's run through just maybe a few more of these.
No, let's wrap soon because we've got a special.
Ooh, heck yeah!
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
let's run through a few fun ones. All right, let's rank the original Frito-Lay's variety pack. This is from @JJ_05_. Okay, original Lay's, Fritos, barbecue Lay's, nacho cheese, Cool Ranch, and original Cheetos.
What's number one for you guys?
Cool
Mine's
Ranch.
Cool Ranch, yeah.
And then
Original Doritos. I like normal Doritos better.
Original
All
Doritos.
those are one
Or
or two to
the-
me.
yeah.
The cheese, nacho cheese ones.
Yeah,
Are they
nacho cheese.
original?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's original. Oh yeah.
I just never heard anybody say that my whole life.
Yeah, nobody says it's that. That is true. Nobody
When I
calls them
say
the original.
Doritos, I think of the cheese ones, the normal ones. But if I'm buying Doritos, Jay, I'm getting that purple. What is it? Yeah, purple, sweet and spicy chili.
Yeah, sweet spicy chili.
Yeah.
It's the best chip that's ever been created.
It really
and then
puts
at that
a lot
point,
of
like,
MSG in there.
so here's the real question about that: is do you end? Which one's worse? Which one gets left over, the Fritos or the original Lay's?
Well, it depends on what else is around. Do I have any chili to
Yep.
to pair? Then I'm definitely the Fritos are.
Both of them are dependent on something else you have to put them with.
Yeah. Do I have just a if I'm just going like hot dog with ketchup, I'll do the Lay's.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
If I want like a substantial snack, I'll get normal Fritos. Because eating Fritos sometimes
It's like a meal.
Yeah, it's like it's heavy.
But if I'm going Fritos, if I get to pick the Fritos, if I'm going to the store to pick the Fritos, I'm picking chili cheese Fritos.
Oh,
Yeah, all day. All right, I've got two questions for you guys. Number one,
obviously.
this first one is from @Showtime is back, being debated among his friends. What is a good age to get married and start having kids?
As soon as possible. Whenever's legal in your country.
I was 29 when I got married, and I would say that was not a bad age. But if I would have known how awesome married life was, I would have gotten married earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I don't think married life would have been as awesome if you got married earlier.
Maybe there's a chance. Here's what I'll say: is I think there's two sides of this. I think there's this pressure, especially in Oklahoma, to get married in your 20s.
Yeah.
Don't feel that pressure. Like, get married whenever you're ready for it. The hard part is like, if you keep waiting, you'll never be ready for it. Because it takes, I think the thing that's so important about marriage is it's one of the first things in your life that you really have to do, where your whole life becomes about somebody that's not yourself. And so that's the first step to that. So if you're not, like, that's the thing you have to be ready for. Like, hey, this becomes about my spouse. And then the second thing, like, in addition to that with kids, is that's when every part of yourself dies, right? Like, everything becomes then about your kid and your wife. And so when you're ready for that, jump in. Isn't that right, Taylor?
Yeah. I also want to say, so that I agree with that, Jay. But also, like, my wife was engaged before and that got called off. I was almost engaged to someone before and that didn't happen. And I'm so glad that I did not pursue that when it was at that time, right? So it's like there's both sides of the same coin of like, yeah, commit, but also, is this the person to commit?
Yeah. You just want to be sure.
Yeah. It's not so much of a timeline as much as it is like being sure that it's the right person.
Right. It's not an age.
Person, like, go right ahead.
All right.
Age is just a number from Andrew.
Yeah, it's that line from When Harry Met Sally, is when you find the person you want to spend the rest of your life with, you want the rest of your life to start now.
Wow.
So figure that out, man.
Beautiful.
All right, last question. I'm going to take this one off the pod. Let Andrew and Taylor deal with this. This is from @ComebackKid, Cody Mankin. My wife is due with our first child in 3 weeks. Any words of wisdom from the pod fathers?
Just get to the third month, man. So it's funny, like, there's so many babies in my life right now, Andrew. My best friend Michael just had a baby.
Yeah. I've seen that.
And she is a week old now. And it's funny, like, when my baby was a week old, so this was only about 3 months ago, it was fine. It seemed like, this is crazy, this is hectic, but it's whatever. Now that I look back at the first week, it's a freaking nightmare to look back at. But during it wasn't. So the thing is, just be present, because as long as you're just present and accepting whatever is happening,
Yeah.
then you'll be fine. And then you can look back and be like, whoa, with some perspective, that was insane.
Yeah. Be present. Be as helpful as you can to your wife, because I don't think that we can even imagine all like everything that they've gone through, not only like in childbirth, but like in everything like after that is a lot. It's a lot. And so like just be there, be as helpful as you can. Just accept right now, accept it that you will never sleep the same in your whole life ever again.
Yes.
And so just accept it. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. It's an adjustment, but you'll be fine.
Dude, also I felt like something clicked in when I became a dad, where I just didn't need sleep as much. Or like I could just sleep in broken up periods and I'm fine. I feel the same.
Oh yeah.
My wife.
But yeah, just be, I mean, honestly, like be a servant to your wife. Understand that she's going through a lot that you can't understand. And just enjoy it. Like enjoy holding a baby as long as you can, because eventually you're not gonna be able to hold the baby anymore.
Eventually you're running away.
Seriously. My 2-year-old yells at me all the time, "Don't hold me, Dad! Don't hold." So
bad.
Hold your baby.
I want to be specific about like on the male end of the postpartum stuff with the wife, with the woman.
Yeah.
One, we had no idea what the physical healing part of this was going to be like. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And people do not talk about it. People are like, yeah, give yourself time to heal. And that's kind of what they say.
Not the real stuff. Yeah.
That's not the real story, man. Like, when you realize what she has to do to after this. There's just, I'm so glad to be a man.
Yeah, for real. Just thank the good Lord every day that you're a man. But enjoy it. Just enjoy the time. It goes quick. It seriously.
It does.
So, enjoy it.
Necessitates our meeting here today, an event which was months in the making and has finally come to fruition. A man who played an instrumental role in so many Thunder tragedies over the years, including the Harden trade, the Patrick Beverley play, and that time when Harden wouldn't let Dort attempt a series-winning three. Come on, James, just let him shoot it. It could be fun. You guys aren't beating the Lakers. I'm here to tell you that man who brought us those terrible, terrible memories, can no longer hurt us. In fact, I would argue that Daryl Morey is a Thunder hero. What's that you say? Daryl Morey? A hero? Has Deborah Buckets lost her marbles? No, dear listener, do not fear. My marbles are exactly where they're supposed to be, in a little satchel I keep in my pocket to play marbles and jacks with the neighborhood children. Daryl Morey is an Oklahoma City Thunder hero. What he tooketh away with the Harden trade, he gaveth back with the Russell Westbrook trade and his subsequent abandonment of the Houston Rockets. Only one season ago, the Thunder were headed for the same dead end that the Rockets now face. Now, for those of you out there with Twitter handles like Russ is my entire online personality, you probably won't agree with me, and that's okay. I understand your perspective. We just needed to hold on a little longer, surround Russ with the right pieces, and before too long, we would have been raising that banner in Chesapeake Arena that said made it past the first round. But you're wrong. The Thunder were in the process of driving off a cliff and were only choosing which awful landing spot they should aim for. But in our darkest moment, a hero emerged. A hero named Daryl Morey. Daryl took our star, gave us a better one, and threw in a few picks and pick swaps for good measure. He then proceeded to upend his roster to better fit his MVP James Harden. No, hold on a second, I read that wrong. He proceeded to upend his roster to better fit someone who wasn't his MVP James Harden. He mortgaged the team's future for a second-round exit and then unceremoniously left, leaving the Rockets with no coach, the oldest roster in the league according to HispanosMBA.com, limited future picks, no future flexibility, and a top 5 worst contract in the league. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but after the Thunder build Russ's statue in front of Chesapeake Arena, I hope they'll consider a smaller monument to honor what Daryl Morey did for this franchise. He saved the Thunder while destroying the Rockets. What more could you ask from a hero? F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, "Show me a hero and I'll write you a tragedy." So while we celebrate our new Thunder hero, don't forget the tragedy of his story. The brilliant GM who changed the league but could never win the big one. The man who made the shrewd trade for the superstar, only to have that superstar force him into a trade that doomed the franchise. The man whose ambitions were always capped by owners unwilling to spend. And so before we go, let us spare a thought for our good friend Tillman Fertitta. Tillman bought a team positioned to be a perennial contender in a top 5 market with an MVP candidate, inheriting arguably a top 5 GM-coach combo. Within only a few years, both parts of that top 5 GM-coach combo have chosen on their own to leave the team. Chose! They weren't fired. No. Tillman's not the erratic rich owner who fires everyone to put his people in place. He's so bad that the good people leave before he even has a chance to fire them. And so, I leave you with this. A quote from our favorite Rockets Twitter account, Red94. He tweets, "My prediction is that Tillman's son will be the GM within 5 years max once he learns the ropes. I'd bet good money on this. Debbie. Debbie.